Hi,
Hello.
it's Make a Difference.
Make a difference.
Yes, Make a Difference here on NBS Radio 95.4 FM every Sunday at 8 p.m.
And Wednesday at 9:30 p.m.
Jump off your sofa
Or lay back and relax.
anywhere you are from your radio or in your earphones.
Stay tuned on NBS Radio 95.4. Listen to Make a Difference.
Our English speaking program brought to you by
Gina,
and Tom.
off we go.
Can anybody fly this thing? For my head explode, for my head stops again.
Good evening, dear listeners. You've just listened to High Speed by British rock band Coldplay from their year 2000 album Parachutes, and you are listening to Make a Difference, our weekly program in English on MBS Radio 95.4, broadcasting from Antananarivo, Madagascar, and podcasting on your favorite podcast platform, on YouTube, and on our Facebook page. Good news for our English language learners, special greetings for our listeners from Quebec, Canada. As usual, our goal is to educate and entertain through a different topic every week. In our program, I'm hosting along with Tom. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Jean. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Glad to speak to you again. Here's Make a Difference, our Sunday and Wednesday night show on MBS Radio 95.4 FM, bringing news for the ears, knowledge for the mind, music for the soul, and positive vibrations from the Red Island, Madagascar, with a weather variable between fresh in mornings and nights and hot and sunny in the middle of the day in this refined, redefined, confined, and redeconfined city of Antananarivo. Let's stay aware and keep on protecting ourselves against that thing. Wear winter clothes, put on your face masks, and stay home if possible. The weather's still freezing, but the sunny spring is arriving. And if I may, yes, let's wear a face mask in our daily task of surviving. The improv of the intro lacks a little tempo, Gina, but here's the key question. What's in the program?
Confidence in you is confidence in
In the program tonight, let's have a host start with the highlights, in which we will follow the latest news. Then we will continue with a report that will take you on a fast ride along the car race tracks. Women in the Formula One world. At the third place, let's listen to the song Butterflies by Alicia Keys from her 2001 album Songs in a Minor, a song that we will try to analyze and comment. And of course, the last part of our program will be the English language tutorial, the hint in which we will focus on two expressions, the use of myself and my own. Alright, Tom, let's not wait any longer. On with the highlights. Stay tuned.
The Malagasy government made the decision to alleviate lockdown measures gradually in the Analamanga region. Lockdown measures were totally lifted in the districts of Tuamasina 1 and 2, and the decisions about the measures to be taken in other regions of Madagascar will be made at a regional scale by each COVID-19 operations center. From August the 10th on, the population of Antananarivo and the Analamanga region will be free to move and work until 5 o'clock p.m. local time. But the public transport system is not yet allowed to operate except for taxis. Face masks are still mandatory and social distancing measures are still recommended. Intercity transport of passengers from and to the Analamanga region are still prohibited and only the freight can transit into and outside the region. Bars and leisure places are still closed and not more than 50 people are allowed to gather around together. A charter flight from Paris and Marseille is in preparation to help Malagasy citizens stranded in Europe because of the COVID-19 lockdown measures to come back to Madagascar. The Malagasy Foreign Ministry has opened the list of Malagasy passengers wishing to return to their home country, and priority among them will be assessed by the Foreign Ministry's Central Department based on criteria of vulnerability. Moreover, passengers will undergo COVID-19 diagnostic tests on their arrival at Ivat Airport. The International Monetary Fund approved an additional $171.9 million disbursement under the RCF Rapid Credit Facility to the Republic of Madagascar to address the COVID-19 pandemic. The second loan brings total IMF COVID-19 emergency support to the Republic of Madagascar to $337.9 million. Madagascar's macroeconomic outlook has been affected by weaker external demand, the increased spread of the pandemic, and significant losses of revenue. The additional resources under the RCF, or a Rapid Credit Facility, will help address urgent financing needs to mitigate the impact of the pandemic, including spending on health, social protection, and to support the most vulnerable and catalyze additional donor resources. Science and technology. The American scientific community to ban words that could be outrageous to minorities from scientific vocabulary. For instance, NASA will discontinue the use of certain nicknames for astronomical objects that are considered to be racist, the space agency said in August the 5th. In the same way, the American Ornithological Society has announced it is renaming the Macao's longspur a little prairie bird. Named after Civil War General McCown, who was an amateur ornithologist, the bird will now be known as the thick-billed longspur. The bird's name turned out to be controversial because General McCown fought for the Confederates during the Civil War, and as the American Ornithological Society Classification Committee declared, this longspur is named after a man who fought for years in the Civil War to maintain the right to keep slaves, and also fought against multiple native tribes. This puts an end to the highlights in On With The Report.
We will continue with a report that will take you on a fast ride along the car race tracks. Women in the Formula One world. Let's find out. Tom reporting.
Nürburgring, Germany, September 2018. 17-year-old Sophia Flörsch is getting prepared for a very special competition, the qualifiers for a Formula 3 car race. In the box, the team gives the car the last touches before the race. Sophia is among the rare female Formula 3 drivers, and like all other race car drivers, men and women, her dream is to win a Formula 1 Grand Prix one day. The challenge is even bigger knowing that she has to compete in a sport dominated by men whose attitude is sometimes skeptical towards women in car race competitions.
Some men ask, why are you in this sport? You'll never make it, not because you're bad, but because women never do. When you hear the things I heard at age 9 and 10, it's hard because you start thinking that way and it hurts. But you grow and build your self-confidence, which is very important in this sport, because you have to fight your way through against the men and keep your head held high.
Mit erhobenen Hauptes sozusagen weiterlaufen muss.
Sophia is one of the only women driving in Formula 3, and her team is the only one with a female mechanic. Sharon van der Ridde drives the trucks and looks after the tires. She used to drive in the races herself.
You have to compete. You have to prove yourself each time. You have to do a step harder. And it was not like the spotlights were on you, but they were criticizing you. If you made one mistake, it was a little mistake. They made it a big mistake or a major mistake, and everybody was just talking bad about you.
As part of a Formula 3 racing team, Sophia and Sharon are involved in a high-level sports competition that requires both technical skills and physical fitness. There are only a few differences between Formula 3 and Formula 1. However, Formula 1 is considered the top competition with the fastest and most powerful and sophisticated cars and the most famous pilots. All young car racers first transit through Formula 3 and the best make it to Formula 1. But what's the difference between Formula 3, Formula 2 and Formula 1? The differences are mainly technical. For instance, all Formula 2 cars are identical in a competition and involve rather younger pilots competing for a selection into a Formula 1 team, which makes Formula 3 and 2 competitions more aggressive than Formula 1 races, as they appeal more to driving skills and tire management. The other differences concern the number of trials and qualifying rounds of a competition and the kind of tires the team can use.
The object of the race is to be the first to cross the finish line after completing a certain number of laps around a track. Formula 1, more commonly known as F1, is the most popular auto racing sport in the world and is the highest level of single-seat car racing. F1 is contested in varying number of races throughout a calendar year, and each race is known as a Grand Prix. Drivers will drive a specially designed race car that is designed to go around a racetrack in as fast a time as possible. There are 3 parts to any race. Practice. Most commonly held on a Friday, practice is where drivers can test their cars on the racetrack. This is valuable to determine how the car will run given the weather and environment, and also to get the driver used to the track. Qualifying. To determine which position each driver starts in the race, each driver will complete laps of the track on their own. The fastest driver will start the race on the grid in the first position, the second fastest in the second position, etc., until all the drivers are assigned a position to start the race. This is known as qualifying and is usually held on a Saturday, the day before the actual race. The race. Once qualifying has determined the order where the drivers start, the actual race is usually held on a Sunday. Drivers will do one warm-up lap and then line up in the position that they will start as determined by qualifying. Once all the lights goes out, the race begins. Drivers have to complete a predetermined number of laps for a total distance of 305 kilometers, or 260 for Monaco. The driver who crosses the line first after all the laps have been completed wins. Drivers get points for the position that they finish, and the driver with the most points after all the Grand Prix have been contested is crowned the world champion. It's honestly that simple.
During the competition, the referees, called marshals, give instructions to Formula 1 pilots using a code based on flag colors.
During a race, marshals will use flags to indicate things to drivers. I'm not going to cover every single flag, but the most common are a green flag. This is used to start or restart a race. Yellow flag. This is to tell the driver to slow down due to a hazard or accident. Red flag. This is an instruction for the drivers to either stop or return to the pit lanes due to danger on the track. Blue flag. This is an instruction to let the car behind overtake you. Checkered flag. This is the famous flag that denotes the end of the race.
Besides the driving skills, building the best car and getting it fit and ready for a successful race is a permanent challenge for the engineers.
Creating and constructing a winning car is highly technical and a fiercely competitive process. The car is a constant state of evolution. It changes race to race, sometimes even day to day, and never races in the same configuration twice. What takes to the track today is usually the product of a design process started years earlier.
The first thing pointing that, of course, is understanding what the regulations actually say, rather than what they intend to say, because that's where loopholes can be found occasionally.
Formula One is always on the cutting edge of material technology. It remains most closely associated with the pioneering use of carbon composites. With the correct manufacturing techniques, carbon composites have the strength of steel or aluminium, but at a fraction of the weight with higher levels of rigidity. The strength of carbon composites allow drivers to walk away unscathed from high-speed impacts, down in part to the development of strong monocoque.
The teamwork needed for Formula One competitions show particularly when a driver must stop the car periodically at the team's pit to change a tire, for example. The pit stop must be as fast as possible, and a highly skilled and well-trained team is dedicated to that task.
Cars are allowed to go back to their own team's garage or pit to change tyres or refuel. This is known as a pit stop, and teams are so fast at changing 4 tyres and adding fuel that this can be done in around 3 seconds. A team is allowed as many pit stops as they like, but this adds time to your race and could cost you valuable positions.
Because of that, there is a special prize for Formula One teams.
Constructors, or teams, are allowed to field 2 drivers in a race. The points for every team's drivers are added up, and the team with the most amount of points at the end of the season will win the Constructors' Championship.
For female drivers, it's still a long way to the top, but many of them are in the challenge and won't quit. British driver Susie Wolff is one of them.
The best part of my job is getting in that car and driving, and being on the race weekend and driving the car is the best part of the job. If I wasn't fit enough and strong enough, I simply couldn't drive that car, especially at a high-speed track like Silverstone, where all the corners are medium to high speed. There's a lot of G-force coming through the body.
So we'll do everything in here as we will do at the track.
The simulator work is invaluable. You know, it gets you ready in a very, very good way. And there's so many different things to change on the steering wheel, so many procedures to remember. Well, obviously there was so much hype around me driving at Silverstone this weekend. It was a fantastic feeling to wake up this morning knowing that I was going to drive a Formula One car at one of for me, the best tracks, a really fast-flowing track. And I had done so much hard work and preparation, and I felt completely ready.
The last woman to attempt to qualify for a Formula One Grand Prix was Italian Giovanna Amati in 1992, and the world is still waiting for the one who will follow her tracks. That was the report, Jean, and as we say in Malagasy, Anuspajana Anareo.
As a reminder, only 5 women made it to a Formula One Grand Prix. Maria Teresa de Filippis from 1958 to 1959, Leila Lombardi from 1974 to 1976, Divina Galissa from 1976 to 1978, Desiree Wilson in 1980, and Giovanna Amati in 1992. And we are still expecting the 6th woman to make a Formula One Grand Prix. Now it's time for the song study. It is Butterfly by Alicia Keys from her 2001 album Songs in A Minor.
Lately when I look into your eyes, you're the only one I need in my life. Maybe I just don't know how to describe how lovely you make me feel inside. You give me butterflies, got me flying so high in the sky. I can't control the butterflies. You give me butterflies, got me flying so high in the sky. I can't control the butterflies. It seemed like the likely thing. From the start you told me I would be your queen, but never had I imagined such a feeling. Joy is what you bring, I wanna give you everything. You give me butterflies, got me flying so high in the sky. I can't control the butterflies. You give me butterflies, got me flying so high in the sky. I can't control these butterflies. You and I are destiny. I know now you were made for me. I can't control it. It's driving me, taking over me, and you give me butterflies, got me flying so high in the sky. I can't control the butterflies. You give me butterflies, got me flying so high in the sky. I can't control the butterflies. You give me butterflies, got me flying so high in the sky. I can't control it. You give me butterflies, got me flying so high in the sky. I can't control the butterflies. No, give me something I just can't deny. Got me flying so high in the sky. I just can't get butterflies. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. Give me something I just can't deny. Got me flying so high in the sky. I never felt like this.
And that was Butterfly from Alicia Keys' 2001 album Songs in a Minor. Songs in a Minor is Alicia Keys' first album and a worldwide success. I think the sentence that defines the song the most is in the chorus, "You give me butterflies." These informal expressions mean you give me the feeling that there are butterflies in my stomach, that hot sensation that one has when he or she falls in love. Lately, when I look into your eyes, I fly. You are the only one I need in my life. Baby, I just don't know how to describe how lovely you make me feel inside. The song describes love at first sight, as felt by the woman on meeting that person she immediately fell in love with. You seem like the likely thing. From the start you told me, yeah, I would be your queen, but never had I imagined such a feeling. Joy is what you bring, I want to give you everything. That person said he has the same feelings for her, and this makes the feeling even stronger. The love she felt is hard to describe and totally out of control. The only expression she found to describe what she felt is, "You give me butterflies." Alicia Keys wrote the song at the age of 20, along with another song of the songs in a minor album, The Life. By the way, my all-time best singer, Michael Jackson, also performed the song Butterflies in 2001 album Invincible. And I don't know if you remember, but there is also a Malagasy who lives in America, nowadays in the US. Her name is Dumi. She's on her way now, and she also has one song entitled Butterflies. Hi Doom, if you hear me now, I say cheers. Songs in a Minor debuted on the Billboard 200 chart at #1, selling 236,000 in its first week at retail. The album went on to sell over 6.2 million copies in the United States and 12 million internationally. That was a song study, Butterfly of Alicia Keys. Now it's time for the hint, the last part of the program, our English language tutorial in which we will focus on two expressions, the use of myself and my own, right after this. So the question that is often asked is, when can we use myself and my own? And what's the difference? Actually, they mean the same thing, but just that they don't have the same preposition. Listen to this dialogue. At a party.
Jack, have you noticed Sandra is always alone? She doesn't talk to the others. She's on her own.
I've seen that too. She's by herself. So you notice that we have different prepositions here. Would you repeat after me? She's on her own. She's by herself. She's on her own. She's by herself. Let's look at another example. Here it can also mean alone or without help. If you say, I clean the house by myself, or I clean the house on my own, they are the same, but may talk about two different things. The first is cleaning the house alone, and the second, cleaning the house without any help. This time, let's look at them separately. We can use my own to mean that it is your possession. For example, you buy a laptop, you bought it with your own money, no one else's money. Listen to this conversation.
You drive a very nice car. Is it your own?
Yes, it is. It's my own car. Myself is reflexive. For example, you wouldn't say, oh no, I spilled the coffee on me. You would say, oh no, I spilled the coffee on myself. So myself will replace me if you in fact are the subject and the object. I think you got it clear. My own and myself, just for you. Keep in touch. That's the end of our English radio program here on MBS Radio. Thanks so much for tuning in. You can always follow us on this frequency 95.4 FM on TuneIn, Deezer, Stitcher, FB page, and YouTube. The Make a Difference English radio program presented by myself, Andrina Diamantena, and my friend Tumborivu Ravaliasi. Until next time, ciao.
Hi.
Hello.
It's Make a Difference.
Make a difference?
Yes, Make a Difference here on MBS Radio 95.4 FM every Sunday at 8 p.m.
And Wednesday at 9:30 p.m.
Jump off your sofa
or lay back and relax.
Anywhere you are, from your radio or in your earphones.
Stay tuned on MBS Radio 95.4. Listen to Make a Difference.
Our English speaking program brought to you by
Gina
and Tom.
Off we go.